Hello, hello. Welcome to the Aligned Life podcast. Hope you're doing amazing today. So, today we're going to be going back to some of the basics, and we're going to talk about shifting your mindset and elevating your energy, how to do it, why it matters, and maybe just give you some examples to help make it relatable to you. So, first off, why do we want to shift our mindset? Why it matters is um, very basic. We've talked about this so many times, but just in case this is the first time that you're tuning in, your thoughts create your feelings. So, when we think about mindset, we can think about it in two categories. We can think about it as the conscious thoughts that you think on purpose, and we can think about the subconscious thoughts, the thoughts that um, are like on default that you almost don't even realize are thoughts because they're just, they almost seem like truths, or they're just things that you've thought, hundreds of times. And so they're those deep subconscious thoughts, which can be changed over time, but we have to become aware that we are thinking them, and we have to understand and believe that they are thoughts and not truths, that they are mostly just opinions, and not even necessarily our opinions. In a lot of cases, there are the opinions of caregivers or parents or coaches or teachers or siblings, things that we heard or kind of like witnessed from our childhood growing up about who we are, how the world is, and almost like how the world works. And so we all have some, no matter how amazing your childhood was, we all have some level of limited beliefs and, unhelpful thoughts, unhelpful belief systems. And then we all have some, at least, hopefully, lots of empowered belief systems, empowering belief systems, empowered self concept, those types of things. So your your mindset is, I guess we could say, like a combination of those two things. So when I'm sharing about how to shift your mindset, you first have to understand that you um, are thinking thoughts, and that, like I said, your thoughts are not truths, and that your thoughts are mostly just the opinion of you or other people that you have accepted to be like truth, we'll say. And you need to be able to become aware of them. So, like I kind of already said, that we have the subconscious mind, we have these thought programming, this thought programming that we almost think that this is just the way that the world is. And so we almost don't even think of it as a thought, because, or we don't think of some of these things as thoughts, because we've kind of just accepted that this is the way that it is, or we just believe that this is the way that it is. So it might be things like even just think about things that are specific to you in your life, that you might even find like, oh, people don't get this, or people don't understand this, or like, um I'm just trying to think, like, for example, something for me I will share is, like, my husband is a shift worker, and so some of the things that I tell myself are like, night shifts are hard, or I guess he is now on 24-hour schedule, but like when he was on his other schedule, I would often tell myself night shifts are so hard. So that is something that I believed and basically thought that it was like the truth, but that's really just like my perception of it. Okay. So think about things in your life, and it doesn't like, it could be whatever. Sometimes people tell themselves things around their body or weight or health or exercise. And you might say something to yourself or to other people as if this is just the truth. Um, and so just start to become aware of things that you tell yourself. These are thoughts. Okay. I just want to like emphasize that these things that we tell ourselves are the way that we are seeing the world. One time somebody said to me that I wear rose colored glasses. And like to me, it's a huge compliment because I will love that. I always love that. Like if I see the world through rose-colored glasses, that's a good thing for me because my thoughts create my feelings. So I want that all day long. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily true. There's a lot of things that I like need to work on, of course, in my own thinking. But I think I love it for myself. That didn't wasn't an insult to me, at all. But I want you to think about that for yourself, like, not in the sense of, like, rose-colored glasses and as the saying goes of, like, "Oh, you're delusional," or "You don't really know how the world works." I don't want you to think about it like that, but just, like, it could be blue-colored glasses, it could be yellow-colored glasses. I just want you to understand that, like, the way what you're thinking is basically like you're putting on those colored of glasses. You are seeing the world through that lens. So it doesn't mean that that's the only way it is, right? Because you can take off your glasses, you could try on a new pair, but that's the way that you're believing the world to be. And so when you believe the world to be that way, you feel that way because your thoughts create your feelings. And so then when you feel that way, you start to act and behave and respond to the world in that way because thoughts create feelings and feelings are what compel you to take action. And so then when you act in that way, then you're starting to get results in a certain way like that because actions add up to create results. So I just want you to really understand that your mindset is so important. And when we talk about mindset, it's not just like the way I think of it and the way I look at it. It's not like, oh yeah, mindset's just like this nice thing that you could focus on if you're bored and you have nothing else to focus on. That's not how I think about it at all. Like, mindset is literally everything, and it's the most important thing that no matter how busy or full your life is, I think everyone needs to be focused on mindset, needs to understand these very basic things because your whole world is your whole world, you're looking at it through this lens of whatever that is in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way, and it doesn't have to be that way, but that's just the way that you were programmed, or that's just the way that you've learned to look through, to look at life in that way, or to look at yourself or whatever, and it could be a different way for you. So mindset, or like positive thinking, has gotten a bad reputation, unfortunately, because of like toxic positivity. And that's not what I'm suggesting here, but I'm just at the most basic level suggesting that everyone start to learn what you're thinking about. Just start to become aware that you are thinking thoughts and that everything is a thought and that very little of what you actually are thinking is truth. Most of it is your opinion, and your opinion is not always right. Now, your opinion can serve you, and your opinion can limit you. So, for example, I give this example all the time, and I'm sorry if you hear it 1,000 times from me, but like my thought is that it's easy to be healthy. That is like my go-to thought that I have. And because I think that way and feel that way, because my thoughts create my feelings, just like yours do. So when I think it's easy to be healthy, I choose healthy foods. I move my body in a way that I enjoy and it creates health in my body. I do other things that are healthy for me, like getting to bed at a decent time, or, recently I bought some mouth tape that I've been wanting to try for like at bedtime so that I stopped mouth breathing. Because once in a while I would notice that I would wake up and I was mouth breathing. Okay. So like just trying to think of like random little things that I like the way that I live my life. I is very like health focused, and it's something that I enjoy, and it's something that to me doesn't feel like a struggle. It's something that I naturally want to do. I got up this morning as I do every morning and I moved my body, and it wasn't really a question of like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? It was like this is just what I do because I'm a healthy person and that's my belief system, and so this serves me. Okay? So is it true that it's easy to be healthy? I mean, it's all just everyone's opinion. To me, it's true, but for you, it might not be true. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that you think thoughts that determine how you feel and therefore how you act, and then the results that you get. And then I have that for myself too. So someone else's thoughts might be that it's really hard to be healthy. And for them, they might maybe struggle to eat a whole food diet, or they might struggle to find time to move their body. They might tell themselves that what's the point? No matter what I do, anyways, it doesn't make a difference. They might struggle to um, think positive thoughts about themselves because of all of this that's going on with how they think about health or whatever. So that is all just based on what lens that each of us are wearing in a sense, right? Like how I see the world is through this lens. And so this way of thinking really serves me because it matters to me to be healthy. Like it's one of my core values is peak health. And so we all need to become really aware that we think thoughts and that those thoughts aren't true. And so maybe you're at work and you're thinking thoughts about your coworkers that might not be very helpful right now. And you might even hear this and you might think like, no, that's not just my opinion about my coworker. Like maybe you think your coworker is lazy or something and you're like, no, that's not my just my opinion. Like my other coworker thinks that that coworker's lazy too or something like that. And you might like really try to like justify it and like explain why 100 other people think that this person is annoying, let's say. And you're like, no, it's not just a thought, it's actually true. And just will say that I've totally been there where like I want to almost like justify my thoughts as truth instead of just opinion around certain people or around certain situations. And what I'm just wanting you to understand is that you thinking that thought, like maybe 100 people will agree with you that what you're thinking is true, but if it's not helping you feel good in your life and it's just like not a helpful thought, um, you have to like be in this case, I'll say, like, you have to almost, like, be the parent of yourself, and you have to think, like, "Okay, like, while this might be true that this person is annoying, this person is my coworker, and if I wanna have, like, a more harmonious work environment, I am gonna have to change how I'm thinking because that's the only thing I have responsibility over. I can't make this person, leave this job or change the way that they are behaving, but I can change what I'm thinking. So I'm not suggesting that you have to like, toxic positivity and you have to be like, no, this person's amazing and like and change in that sense, but like what is, can you just like stair climb just one step above where you are, like instead of thinking this person is annoying and then going on and on, because thoughts are magnetic. So when you think that type of a thought, more similar thoughts are going to flood into your brain because that's just the nature of thoughts. So do you want to spend all day at work being frustrated, annoyed with this coworker, or would you rather just like think to yourself, yeah, this person is, kind of annoying, but like I'm just going to focus over here on this work that I'm doing, and I'm just going to let this person be who they are. Like, you will start to find a better feeling thought if you are open to it, but you have to not be so stubborn in thinking that like I'm right, this person's annoying, or whatever it could be. It could be the situation sucks, it could be the situation is annoying. Like, I used to do that for so long around my husband's shift work of like just not enjoying it, and really not liking it, and being like, it's not fair, it's so hard for me, and like, yes, this is true, but this is the situation that it is. And so do you want to just find a way to like enjoy your life instead of like just being right and dying on that hill? And those are like, little conversations you have to have with yourself, kind of like in your head, around um being right or being happy, and maybe not being so stubborn about that, which is always a hard one for me because I know I can be a stubborn person, and I love that about myself in a lot of ways, but then there's ways where that can have a negative impact on me because I, just want to be right about this thing. So, remember that like the quality of your thoughts literally determines the quality of your life. So yes, it's true that mindset might not be something that like most people really even think about in the course of their day, but mindset is literally everything, and it determines the quality of your life, like I said. And it like really, you have so much power to change how your life feels by just becoming aware of your thoughts. First and foremost, the only thing you need to just do is just become aware that you think thoughts, that you are thinking thoughts, and it's causing you to feel a certain way. So a lot of times, even for people, like if I was in one-on-one coaching calls that I would used to do, like I would ask somebody like how they're feeling first instead of maybe what they're thinking, because sometimes it's easier to just like become aware of a feeling. So like I'm like, oh, I'm frustrated. Okay, well, like what are you thinking that's causing you to be frustrated? Oh, I'm thinking that like my coworker is so annoying, right? Like then you start to see, oh, I'm thinking the thought, fill in the blank. And that will really bring a lot of awareness to your life and to the quality of how you're living right now. And you'll start to see like, oh, I've been wearing these color of sunglasses, and that's why I'm seeing the situation like this. And so one of the things that like I really like in spirituality teachings, for example, is like um, this this teaching that all circumstances are neutral. Like everything is neutral, and it's our thinking that makes it positive or negative. Now, I know that there's going to be people that are hearing this and they're going to want to think of the most extreme situation and say, there's no way that this is neutral. And I know I've done it too, and I've been there too when I heard this teaching. And so I'm just not really even going to go there, but I just want you to know that it's like from like a universal perspective, everything is neutral, including the annoying coworker or whatever. And it's our thinking that makes it so, as the quote goes. So it's your thinking that determines something to be positive or to be negative or even to be neutral, right? And so this is like the foundation of mindset, is just realizing that the way that you're thinking is determining the things in your life. I'm not going to go into it here, but there's this really powerful story called Fortunate or Unfortunate. And encourage you to like pause this episode and Google it, or maybe you're familiar with it, but it's just about this story of like this farmer, and there's a storm and his horse runs away, the fence breaks and his horse runs away, and people say, fortunate or unfortunate, and he's like, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. And then the horse comes back, but brings and brings a bunch of horses with him. And now the neighbors come over and they're like, oh, how fortunate. And he's like, oh, fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. And so then the story just keeps going like that, where things happen and he says to himself or to the neighbors, like, I don't know, is this fortunate or is this unfortunate? We'll have to wait and see. But just the way that it's just a good reminder that the way that you're looking at a circumstance um, could be one way or another. Another teaching that I really love is that just remembering that like everything is working out for me, even if I don't know it yet or if I can't see it yet. Because there's been times, even just recently in my life where I felt like kind of let down and disappointed about something not working out the way that I wanted it to. Um, and then like something else came up, and then I was like, maybe that was a good thing that that didn't work out because now we can do this thing. And so it's like it was just a really good reminder of this fortunate or unfortunate thing. And a really good reminder in just reminding yourself you have to choose this. This is a mindset, right? Like that you have to choose that like everything is working out for me. Even if I can't see it yet, even in disappointments, even when I think that it's not working out for me, things are working out for me. There's this other saying or quote, and I think I don't know it word for word, and I think it was from Steve Jobs. And it was something along the lines of like, you really can't see something about like the perspective of your life, but you don't know it until you're looking back on something. Like you have to have gone through things and then be able to look back. And it's like in looking back that you start to see like, oh, things actually did have their way of working out. Um, Even though in the time I didn't know it yet. Like I only have that perspective now. So it's just a helpful reminder to kind of live by that way of that mentality, or that fortunate or unfortunate mentality of just like trusting that things are working out, and it helps you be a more optimistic and positive person. And sure, there's going to be people that want to be skeptical or want to be the glass half empty type of people, but like you don't have that. You don't have to be that way. Like you have a choice and you can be an optimistic person. And also it benefits you to be an optimistic person because you're going to have the positive emotions that come with being optimistic. It's it's just a more enjoyable way to live because your thoughts create your feelings. So if you're optimistic and you're training your brain to like look for the good, so you're going to experience more positive emotions because you're looking for it, right? So that's just one thing that I want to just to remind you of, like when things don't look good or are frustrating, like maybe something fell through, like you were excited about something and then it didn't work out, or somebody's frustrating you, or you found out something upsetting or whatever, that you just have to it's not that you can't feel your emotions. I'm not suggesting that at all, and that there's a lot of importance in feeling your emotions at but like just remembering too in the back of your mind that it doesn't I don't necessarily know if this is going to be, let's just say, bad, or if this is bad, or if this is um like who knows what could come of this, I guess, is just a really helpful way to kind of in the back of your mind think like, yes, this is frustrating, or yes, this is upsetting, or yes, I'm sad that this didn't work out, but who knows what could come from this. And being open to that is going to feel better in your life. And like I said, then you're looking for opportunity from there to experience better. um And I just want to remind you that this is a choice and it's the tougher choice, okay? Because by default, we actually all have a negativity bias. So it's actually a lot easier for us to be negative. Um, it's it's in a lot of, and then people might have that more so to be like maybe a little bit more glass half empty type of people, whether that's through conditioning from their childhood or that's just the way they are, nature versus nurture, who knows, right? But like, um our brains do actually tend to magnify the negative, and I'll say that in quotations, and downplay the positive. And this is from a very much like survival place because that was how we did survive. Like that's how we made it to where we are in an evolution standpoint. So, you know, um, you needed to learn from those negative experiences. And so, experiences. So that's why it's the way that we actually tend to be is sometimes looking for the negative or focusing on the negative and having a hard time um, being excited or being happy about like just small positive things. There's a psychologist. His name is Rick Hansen, and he has this practice called taking in the good or letting in the good. I think it's taking in the good, but it's just a mindfulness practice of like when something positive is going on in your life or happens, to actually take a moment and imagine it. I've talked about it on the podcast. I think I actually have a whole podcast episode dedicated to it with that title of taking in the good. But like actually imagining that it is like maybe it starts in your heart and that it's actually like spreading throughout your body, like this positivity. So like maybe you just got a compliment. It could be just something really small, like somebody said, like good job on that, or I like your shirt or something like that. Just super, super small, basic thing that, especially as women, we tend to like slough off or say like, oh, it's old, or it's not that nice, or it's just from here, and like we kind of downplay it. And that's like just something that we tend to do as women, but we need to learn not to do that. We need to actually learn. And I'm not saying that you need to be like, oh yes, thank you, and like be outwardly, it doesn't have to be anything outwardly, but like just inside of you, it's all an internal experience of just taking in the good and just like imagining that positive feeling of this compliment, for example, starts in your chest, and you just imagine and you feel it. It's not just about imagining it, but like also like allowing yourself to feel it spread throughout your body. So from the heart, like up and then out the arms and even down the torso into the legs and everything like that, and just like take in that good, because that's training you to um, experience more good. And so when something else positive happens, maybe it's going to be just even a smidge easier the next time to like let in the good experiences. But this is something that I often say is just like we everyone has these positive things that might be going on throughout their day, but we just can tend to slough it off and then not focus on it so much. But there's a lot of good that you can experience just by this practice. And like I can think back to when my girls were really little, and somebody would miss a nap. Like I could have had a really beautiful morning with the girls, and everyone could have been in a super good mood, and things were flowing smoothly all morning, and then let's just say I couldn't get someone down for a nap, and I would let that ruin the rest of my day often. And it's not like people miss naps, or maybe they had a short nap or something. Like I just remember a lot of times like having good mornings, let's say, but then maybe somebody had a meltdown at the grocery store in the afternoon, or someone missed a nap or whatever it was, and then it would the rest of my day I would be in a bad mood. And so this is really like, example, really big example of like how our mind focuses in on the negative instead of like thinking about the positive. And so just in this example, like if I was just able to have some more constructive self-talk of like, okay, yes, Megan, so and so missed their nap, or so and so, was upset at the grocery store, but it's not the end of the world. And like, you still had a good morning. And like, if you can just like let this go, like you can recoup the rest of the day, and it's not a big deal. But like, instead, I didn't really have those tools to do that. And it would just ruin, like I said, the rest of my day in a lot of cases. And I'm a lot more aware of that now. But like, this is why mindset work is so important, because especially for us as moms, like, it's not just our life that is impacted, it's very much our children's lives too, that get impacted when we are frustrated or get in bad moods. And like, all of this is normal, and it's going to happen. And we need to teach that to our kids, that like, our emotions are like, we're allowed to experience our emotions too, and just like they are. And there's a lot of healthy learning in that, for sure. But we do have this responsibility that can sometimes feel heavy as moms. But it's just the case, it's just the way that it is as moms, that we have this responsibility. And so let's be aware of it, and let's learn how to take responsibility for how we feel, and 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 do better, because our kids' happiness and the energy of our home is also on the line with that. And I don't mean to say that in like a pressury type of a way, but this is this is just the truth. And I've experienced it many times as a mom, where things have gone off track because of my mood. So, and the thing is right, like, their negative mood can impact us so much. So think about how it feels for them when we're like the head of the household, the moms, and all of that, and we are upset by things. Like, that's going to feel really shaky for them too, right? Um, but don't beat yourself up if you know you do impact the family's mood because of yours. Like, that's going to be, of course, normal, and like, that's just the way that it goes sometimes. But just be aware of it, and learn the tools so that you can, in those smaller things, like, you can bounce back quicker. So just talking about like elevating your energy, like, I could go on and on about elevating your energy, in a lot of ways. But some key things that I want to say is, just first and foremost, I've said it already, but like, your thoughts. When we think about energy, I kind of often think about like emotions and energy being the same thing. Emotions, feelings, energy, kind of like grouping that all together, and just kind of like how you are, like your vibe, and how you, I guess, how you are. We'll just say it like that. Thinking about that is like your energy. So from like a very basic starting point, what you're thinking is going to determine how you're feeling. So just be aware of that like, when you change the quality of your thoughts, you're going to change your energy. But it's not just about changing your thoughts, it's actually about changing the thoughts to something that you believe, right? So that's why I talked about like stair stepping. You can't go from being like way down in the gutter and thinking like the most terrible, negative, unhelpful thoughts. And I don't, I'm just going to call it like that for this. But like, all thoughts, everyone says all emotions are normal and welcome. And like, yes, it's very true. But like, also, we can have better emotions and we can have better thoughts, better quality thoughts. So just when you think better quality thoughts and you can actually believe them, you're going to change your energy. And then from like a physical perspective, um, I talk about this all the time as well, because it matters so much, especially as moms. Like, we need to be taking care of ourselves. So from really just like the core basic things, we need to be getting quality sleep, which I know is not always possible when you've got like babies or kids that aren't sleeping well. Even last night, my 7-year-old, she woke up in the middle of the night and came to bed. And so like our sleep does get disrupted as moms, but like as much as you can. I used to stay up until way too late watching TV, and I just had to have that reality check with myself that like this doesn't serve me. I'm actually a morning person and I like getting up in the morning and feeling like productive and having quiet time for myself more than I want to have quiet time at the end of the day because the truth is that I'm more likely, and probably most people are like this, I'm more likely to get up and exercise first thing in the morning. I'm more likely to get up and meditate, to journal, and to do all of these things in the morning. But at the end of the day, there's just no way that I'm going to exercise. There's no way that I'm gonna even just staying up late at night, like we're more likely to snack and overeat on like unhealthy foods. We're just more likely to scroll on our phone or watch TV. And it's always, in my opinion, you have to make this decision for yourself, but in my opinion, you're better off getting to bed at a decent time and then having like actual quality time for yourself in the morning if you can. So I didn't do that when my kids were really little and they weren't sleeping through the night. So like probably until Mila was like 2, my youngest. When my youngest turned around 2 and she started sleeping better, that's when I started waking up at like let's say 5:30 and then and having like getting my yoga in or journaling and meditating and different things like that. So quality sleep as much as you can is going to change your energy. That's going to have one of the biggest impacts on you, um, from an energy and health perspective. Then the next two, move your body every single day and eat a whole food diet as much as you can. You want to just move your body in any way that you enjoy. Key word is enjoy. Don't do something that you hate doing because you think this is what everyone does to like get toned or get healthy or get in shape or whatever it is that you might think that you want. You need to be able to enjoy it because if it's going to be something that you do every day, then you should enjoy it so that you're enjoying your life. And exercise will make you feel good. It will increase your energy. I worked out this morning and like it was, 6 in the morning and I was just in the best mood ever because that's what exercise will do to you. Plus, you'll have a sense of accomplishment. Plus, you'll create a healthy, strong body. Plus, you'll start to prove to yourself that you can do hard things. You'll start to learn that you're disciplined, that you're committed. You'll start to there's so many like positive mindset shifts that you'll get just from having a daily exercise routine. So I very much encourage you to do that, and it's going to have such a big impact on your energy level. It's always a funny thing to think about it, but like using your energy, as in exercising and using energy like that, actually gives you energy, right? And a lot of times when I can think back to when I wasn't exercising daily and I would say to myself, like, oh, I'm just too tired. I don't feel like I don't have the energy to. And it's so funny that that's the way that we think. And that's something that we tell ourselves when actually exercising is what gives you energy. And I only know that now from like just having to, get into the routine of it and prove it to myself. So if you're telling yourself that and you're like, yeah, but you don't get it, like I actually don't have the energy. Like I do get it. I had, 3 kids in 3 years and I get what it's like to be tired. I know that phase of life well and I remember it very clearly. So, maybe your exercising looks different than what it used to look like before you had kids or whatever. I wasn't running through my pregnancies. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't getting up at 5 a.m. and doing yoga when I had babies. But a walk will change your mood. Walking outside, especially, it's like habit stacking. You're getting fresh air, you're getting sunlight, and you're exercising. Like those things are so important to your mood, to your energy. So, make sure you're moving in a way that you enjoy. Maybe that's like your quiet time for yourself, where you can just put on your headphones and listen to a podcast or music or something, but like find a way to make it enjoyable for yourself. And then I will also say that around healthy eating. For me, it's a whole food plant-based diet. Um, it's going to change the way that you feel physically and emotionally. Remember that physical health is mental health, and mental health is physical health. So it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like that's how I think about it with this case. It's like start thinking better and you will start taking better action, and start taking better action and you will start thinking better. And those two things just go hand in hand. So like I talk about them together because they both impact each other, and like they both matter so much to just living a better life and just feeling better in your life. So find ways to just like add in a whole food for your snack. Um, eat just eat more whole foods. Like for me, I love having a salad every single day. I love having a smoothie every single day. I'm always packing my girls like cut up veggies, cut up fruit. We eat lots of nuts and seeds and beans and other, just whole foods, anything in its whole form. Doesn't mean that you can't cut it, doesn't mean that you can't cook it. Just find ways to eat more foods in their whole form. My favorite dinners are just like a ton of like roasted or cooked or raw veggies. Like I said, I'm always having a salad. I make my own homemade Greek salad dressing. So good. Just you will start to crave it when you start doing it. So in a lot of cases, it's just like getting started and committing to it, and then it just becomes like it's just what you do. It just becomes like really obvious that like, of course I'm going to do this. Like, of course I'm going to have my salad every day. I always have a salad every day, and it just becomes like you don't even have to think about it, but you got to get yourself there, and you can do that through mindset. So, anyways, those are things that are going to really elevate your energy. They're going to help you feel better on a physical level and on a mental level, and it's all things that are like in your control. They're not too complicated. You don't have to change anyone, right? Like you can't change anyone, but you don't have to change anyone to feel better and to live a good life. Like you can do that through in your mind. In your mind, you can live a good life. And that's really where everything is going on, is just in your thoughts. So I hope that this was helpful. Um, I will I'll try to share more. Like if you're following me on Instagram, I'll even try to share that to like my stories or as a post, like the Greek salad dressing and just like a simple smoothie and just some things that you can start to do to like add in these things to start making healthier choices in your physical health and in your mental health. But we'll share more on the podcast. And like I said, I hope that this was helpful. I hope you have a great week, and we will chat again soon. Take care.